Halloween Ends is a crazy finale that goes into a wildly new direction that may excite some fans, and it may frustrate some fans as well. In this video, we will be talking about every single spoiler that is in Halloween Ends, as well as breaking down the ending to this very unique story. So if you haven't seen Halloween Ends, go watch Halloween Ends and come back and watch this video. 44 years have led to this conclusion, this epic, grand, final battle between two of the most iconic titans in horror history. At least that's what the trailers and marketing team for this movie want you to think that this story is about. In fact, Halloween Ends is a love story. Yes, Michael and Laurie have sexy time in this very erotic, eccentric movie. That's actually a lie. Michael and Laurie do not have sex, but I bet a lot of people would have much rather seen that than what they saw in this movie. Let's jump straight into it. Halloween Ends is a movie that does not include Michael Myers for about 90% of the runtime. During these last 4 years, Michael Myers has been chilling in a sewer, reading Playboy magazines, and eating rats for protein. The badass Michael Myers we saw in Halloween Kills is just a shell of his former self. He is not the same shape that we know and love. It's almost embarrassing what they reduce him to in this movie. They reduce him to some weak, old bitch. Instead of following Michael Myers, Halloween Ends follows Corey Cunningham as he tries to navigate his life after he accidentally murders a boy who he is babysitting. The cold introduction of this movie shows Corey accidentally killing the boy he is babysitting, and he falls off this staircase as gravity pulls this boy down and assaults the hell out of him, propels him into this wooden floor that has this impactful sound that is just gruesome and chilling. This opening intro is just absolutely insane, and this is where the movie peaks for me. It hits this high level of tension, and it never builds back up to that ever again. Corey is to blame for this accidental murder, even though he did not do it intentionally, obviously. The whole town hates him. Everyone looks at him crazy. People bully him. People just do not feel right about this guy roaming around their town. Laurie Strode ends up befriending him and kind of puts him under her wing. They relate because they are both outcasts in this city. Laurie introduces Corey to Allison, and this is where the love starts to form. This plot line is in fact a story about Corey falling in love with Allison. Yeah, you heard that right. This is a love story, everybody. This story takes a wild, unique turn. I did not expect them to go in this direction. I do give the creators the benefit of the doubt. They took a huge swing with this. I did not expect this. From a movie being called Halloween Ends, no one would. No one thought that they would make this huge left turn. It seems like they could have had an easy basket here, but I do respect them for them not making just a normal, regular Halloween movie. This could have been the 13th Halloween movie that we've seen that just does the same old thing. But here, they do something a little bit organic, and I can respect that. You got a nod of approval from me. Now, I actually think Corey and Allison have some good chemistry. Andi, Matichak, and Rohan Campbell are great actors, so they definitely sell the relationship very well. The creators seem like they knew what they wanted to do for the ending of this movie, but the first half of Halloween Ends feels like this Frankenstein monster with this love plotline. It takes elements from John Carpenter's Christine. It takes elements from Friday the 13th Part 5, borrows elements from the original Hellraiser. There are so many Easter eggs and just straight up stolen parts from John Carpenter's Christine. I mean, Corey Cunningham is literally named after Arnie Cunningham, the main character in Christine. Corey eventually finds Michael in his sewer man cave. Michael tries to choke Corey and kiss him. Corey says, "No thank you, you are coming on way too strong, and you have not brushed your teeth in 4 years." They lock eyes, and Corey sees the evil that is living within inside of Michael, and this evil seems to awaken the evil that is inside of Corey. Michael lets Corey go for some reason, and now Corey is just infected with Michael's evil. It's like Michael's evil was just like transported into Corey, and now Corey is just instantly a bad guy, pretty much. There's like no explanation for it. It just kind of happens. Corey starts murdering everyone that has wronged him, and he starts murdering people inside of Allison's circle. Allison and Corey want to run off together. They want to escape Haddonfield, run away from all their problems, even though they've only known each other for 4 days. But hey, love is dumb. I guess. I don't know. Now the story takes an even more wilder turn. Yeah, Corey and Michael team up. This movie turns into a buddy cop movie. This is now Lethal Weapon. Corey and Michael have this tag team now. They go and they kill Allison's boss, Dr. Mathis. And when it gets to this point in the movie, I'm like, okay, this could be very interesting. This could be unique. And the whole killing scene is pretty cool. It is gruesome. Corey has this very unique, just type of animalistic killing style to him. Michael's just kind of the slow, brooding monster. And I'm like, okay, this could be cool. And you think they're going to move on and continue with this, but they really don't. It happens like twice. It happens on earlier in the film too. Corey brings in this weird cop who likes to hit on Allison. He brings him into Michael's lair. Michael kills him. He instantly regenerates and gets stronger. Michael will kill this guy, and then it's like Michael ejaculates. He's moaning and grunting and transforming it back into the shape. He's this very weakened villain when you see him, but after he kills this cop, he's just pretty much reborn and kind of gains his strength meter back. It's wild. It's insane. And I'm just thinking to myself, how is this in this movie? What is happening? Corey and Michael now have this master and apprentice type relationship. That's until Corey just goes even wilder and decides to punk Michael Myers. Yes, Corey Cunningham wrestles Michael Myers and he wins. Corey pretty much makes Michael his bitch. This is so disrespectful. It's almost to the level of Busta Rhymes in Halloween Resurrection. It's almost that bad.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Until this part of the movie, until Corey beats up Michael, I was pretty satisfied with the film, but the level of just gross disrespect they treat Michael it's just almost unforgivable. There's some things you should not show, and this is one of them. I mean, you didn't learn from Halloween Resurrection. You didn't learn. My God, this movie is it's something else. It truly is. Corey took Michael's lunch money and decreased his sperm count by -60. Corey turns into this copycat killer for the remainder of the runtime. He starts killing off all the bullies that killed him in this junkyard scene that has some awesome gruesome deaths. I mean, Corey even gets a blowtorch to this bully's face and starts melting his mouth off. It's a pretty badass scene. Corey is definitely very unique with his kills. It definitely reminds me of Michael back in 1978, where he does these weird, goofy type of kills. I mean, he kills this DJ by slamming his head into a pair of turntables. His tongue falls off, and then his tongue is spinning around the vinyl. It's super goofy. It's a really gruesome scene that it might be my favorite kill in the entire movie. And Corey definitely has that type of Michael flair to him. He's very theatrical, and I think it's kind of cool. I'm kind of with this a little bit. I mean, at least the kills are interesting, but something just feels off. You know, it's not Michael. It's a lot to process. It really is. All of this leads to our final confrontation inside of Laurie Strode's house. Laurie baits Corey into her house and shoots him straight in the boobs. At this point, Laurie is ready to fight Corey, but Corey stabs himself in the neck in order to make it look like Laurie killed him. Allison walks in and thinks her grandma has killed her boyfriend that she's known for 4 days. For 4 days, people. 4 days. Then she just storms off because she's so upset and pissed about her grandma killing her mans. The whole plot, the whole meaning of this Corey Cunningham character is completely wasted when he stabs himself in the neck. It's just like we went through all this plot line just for him to kill himself. It's so confusing. I don't get it. I really don't get it. If you were gonna do this whole plot point of Corey Cunningham is just completely wasted at this moment when he stabs himself in the neck. We went on this whole ride with this character for him just to kill himself. It baffles me. It really does. Corey stabbing himself in the neck is used as a plot device to get Allison far away from Laurie Strode's house so we can have our real final battle with Michael and Laurie. Just the two of them. Michael sneaks inside of Laurie's house, finishing off Corey by snapping his neck, and we get what everyone came here to see for about 7 minutes. I felt almost nothing watching the Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers fight scene because earlier on in the film, Michael was treated like a bitch by Corey. So if Michael gets beaten by Corey, I know that Laurie can whoop Michael's ass at any time because we already saw that Michael is this weak shell of himself. So why should there be tension here when I know Michael is going to get worked in this fight? It's a good fight scene. It's choreographed well. It has some gruesome stuff to it, but there's no tension and no buildup for the final battle between Michael and Laurie. There's nothing there. There needs to be tension for the 44 years of buildup, but I don't feel a goddamn thing. Laurie pins down Michael and stabs his hands onto a table, throws a fridge on him, and she slits his wrist and slits his neck as he slowly starts to bleed out. But Michael starts to grab Laurie, starts to choke her, her life starts to flash before her eyes, and we get this huge flashback of everything that happened in the original 1978 Halloween leading up to this movie. And it's kind of a weird concept, like Laurie almost wants to die by Michael, she's almost accepting it until Allison bursts back onto the scene and saves her grandma. They slice Michael up on the table. Hawkins and the whole police department show up, and we get Sheriff Barker, the most useless character in all of the Halloween franchise. He shows up for some reason, and they decide to parade Michael's dead body in front of the whole city of Haddonfield. They strap his body up to Allison's car, and they drive him like it's a goddamn Thanksgiving Day parade. They drive him through the city, and they end up at the junkyard. The townspeople take Michael's body off of the top of Allison's car, and they crowd surf his dead body like the scene from Spider-Man 2 when he gets unmasked in the subway. It's just so insane that this is happening right now. Laurie puts Michael's lifeless body into this giant cheese shredder, and his CGI body just gets mished and mashed until it turns into shredded cheese. It is pretty cool, to be honest with you. Even though it doesn't look the best, the CGI of Michael's body looks kind of off. But I think it's a cool way to kill Michael, but I do prefer the ending of Halloween H2O where Laurie just cuts Michael's head off. I think that's a better conclusion of Michael than what we get here. We follow up days later after they kill Michael. Laurie and Allison are still processing what has happened. Allison decides to move on. She decides to leave Haddonfield for New Horizons, which I think is a pretty good thing for her because Allison's been through a lot. She's arguably been through more than Laurie has ever been through, so I'm glad they got to give her swan song. Laurie finishes her memoir that she's been working on throughout the duration of this film, and she finally lays the boogeyman to rest. While she's writing the closing sentence from her memoir, there's a specific line that she writes that is very impactful. It states that evil never dies, it only changes shapes. And I really love that line. I think it's very powerful. That line perfectly describes what Michael Myers is. He is just a vessel for pure evil. That line, evil never dies, it only changes shapes, is one of the meanings behind Halloween Ends. Evil can be awakened in everyone. Evil morphs. It resets into the most unlikely people. Evil can be a 6-year-old boy who murdered his sister. Evil can be a young man who caused a terrible accident. Halloween Ends displays how evil can be an infection that can spread as easy as a wildfire. Halloween Ends is about letting go. It's about moving on to new horizons and putting your past behind you. Hawkins and Laurie meet earlier on in the movie. They meet in a grocery store, and Laurie and Hawkins have this type of throwaway conversation where Hawkins talks about cherry blossoms, but the conversation is interrupted. Laurie brings this conversation back up in her final lines in Halloween Ends. They talk about cherry blossoms, and cherry blossoms are a symbol of renewal, a symbol of rebirth, a symbol of moving on, leaving the past behind you. Cherry blossoms represent spring. You move on from winter, those cold, dark months, into something newer, something brighter, and something warmer. I thought this was very impactful and emotional for Laurie Strode. It's very subtle. It's not heavy-handed. It's not too preachy. If you know the meanings of cherry blossoms and what they represent, it's a nice little Easter egg for you. I thought it was very sweet. 44 years of Laurie Strode going through all this pain, going through hell, going through all this suffering, for her to have closure and moving on with her life is the best ending for Laurie. She definitely deserves that. And I felt very warm inside to this ending. The final shots of this movie are some of my favorite parts of Halloween Ends. The final shots of Halloween Ends, we get single frame wide shots of Laurie's house. Now, all these shots are colorful, they're bright, all the windows are open, there's so much light that is being let into her house, which is very contrasting to the ending of 1978's Halloween. It's the same shot setup, but in that movie, everything's dark, it's bleak, it ends on a very sad note. But with this one, they're complete opposites. They're the same shots, but just the color and lighting between the two definitely tell a different story. One tells a story of moving on and new beginnings, and one tells a story of darkness and sadness. And I thought that was a really nice touch by David Gordon Green. I like that so much. In the final shot of the movie, we see that Laurie is in fact keeping Michael's mask. This can mean a couple things. I think she is keeping it as a memento of her pain, a token. When you go through trauma, you don't necessarily always get over that trauma. She might be keeping that mask also to keep it from never getting in the hands of someone evil like Corey or someone evil like Michael ever again. No one's going to be able to don that blank, expressionless face ever again. Well, until, the Halloween franchise gets rebooted in like 10 years, but that's not going to happen in this timeline, hopefully. Even though Halloween Ends has these crazy wild turns, these insane plot points that just go all over the place, I still found really good parts in this film. I think this film has a great message and has very sweet intentions. It has a huge swing to it. It definitely goes for it. And I respect it for that. I really do. I don't hate this film. I don't think it's the worst Halloween film. I don't think it's the best Halloween film. I'm firmly planted in the middle. I think this movie starts off really strong. It goes into a crazy, wild direction. And then it has this almost anticlimactic ending that has some nuggets of greatness. And then it has a very sweet ending. It's not what I expected from Halloween Ends, but I was surprised, I was entertained, and I will definitely keep this in my rotation. I don't know if I'm going to watch it very frequently. I actually really liked Halloween Kills a lot. I actually really loved that movie. I think that movie is badass. And I really enjoyed Halloween 2018. Out of the movies in this trilogy, this isn't my favorite, but when you watch these movies as one giant movie, I think it definitely has a lot of merit. In my spoiler-free review, I gave this movie a 6.5 out of 10, and I still stick with that rating. I think a 6.5 out of 10 is very fair in my opinion. It does have a lot of flaws, but I still enjoyed this weird, crazy ride. Wow, what an experience that was. Halloween Ends. What did you think of this movie? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. So we have a whole spoiler section now. You can comment there. You can talk about anything you want to talk about down in the comment section down below. So feel free to do so. If you feel positive about this film, let me know. If you feel negative about this film, please let me know. I want to get this conversation going. Thank you for watching my spoiler review / breakdown of Halloween Ends. As always, I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace.